A scammer tried to catfish. My grandma and what we did to him made the FBI agents crack up. Grandma Diane showed me her phone during Sunday dinner with this dreamy look on her face that made my stomach drop. "Sweetie, I want you to meet someone special." She pulled up a Facebook profile of a man who looked like a stock photo model mixed with a silver fox actor. His name was Colonel Richard Ashford, supposedly stationed overseas, widowed, lonely, and apparently head over heels for my 73-year-old grandmother after 2 weeks of messaging. I looked at the profile. 3 photos total, all professional quality, posted within the same week. 16 friends, all with similar suspicious profiles. 0 actual personal content. "Grandma, this is a scam," I said carefully. She pulled the phone back and her face hardened. "You young people think you know everything about the internet. Richard is a real person who treats me with respect and kindness. He's coming home next month and wants to meet me in person." My mom, who was serving mashed potatoes, stopped mid-scoop. "Mom, show me this profile right now." Grandma reluctantly handed over her phone, and my mom's expression went from concerned to furious in about 5 seconds. She started scrolling through messages and her hand was shaking. "He's already asked you for money, hasn't he?" Grandma's silence was the answer. My mom looked at me with panic in her eyes. "He told her his military pay got frozen due to a banking error. She sent him $3,000 through wire transfer yesterday." I felt my blood pressure spike. $3,000 was a significant chunk of Grandma's fixed retirement income. "Grandma, military pay doesn't get frozen. That's not how it works. This man is scamming you." She stood up from the table, her voice rising. "Richard is not a scammer. He's a decorated colonel who served this country. He's going to pay me back as soon as his bank sorts out the issue. You're all just jealous that I found someone who makes me happy." She grabbed her purse and left through the front door. We heard her car start and drive away. My mom sat down hard in Grandma's empty chair. "This is bad. This is really bad. Your grandmother is stubborn when she thinks she's right. If we push too hard, she'll cut us off completely and keep sending money to this person." My dad, who'd been quiet this whole time, pulled out his laptop. "Let me see that profile." My mom handed him her phone and he started typing, running reverse image searches on the profile photos. Within 3 minutes, he found the same pictures on a European modeling agency website. The real person in those photos was named Lars Eriksson, a Danish model who had nothing to do with military service. This scammer is using stolen photos of a professional model. I'm finding these same images on at least 5 other suspicious Facebook profiles with different names. This isn't just one person catfishing your grandmother. This is an organized operation running multiple scams simultaneously. My little brother Austin, who was 18 and annoyingly good with computers, leaned over Dad's shoulder. "I can get into that Facebook account if you want. See who's really behind it, where they're located, how many other people they're scamming." My mom started to say that was probably illegal, but I interrupted. "Do it. If Grandma won't listen to us, maybe she'll listen when we show her proof of who this person really is." Austin grinned and pulled out his own laptop. "Give me until tomorrow morning. I know some people who specialize in tracking scammers." I didn't ask who these people were or how he knew them. Austin had always been the tech genius of the family, the kid who built computers in middle school and got recruited by the university's cybersecurity program before graduating high school. If anyone could track down this scammer, it was him. The next morning, Austin called an emergency family meeting. Grandma wasn't invited because she was still angry and refusing to talk to us. Austin had his laptop connected to the TV and pulled up a presentation like he was giving a TED Talk. "Okay, so Colonel Richard Ashford doesn't exist. The person running this scam is using an IP address traced to Lagos, Nigeria. His real name is probably not going to help us, but his operation is massive. He's running 53 active catfish profiles simultaneously, targeting elderly widows and widowers across the United States. Based on the message patterns I found by hacking into his operations shared drive, they have scripts for every situation. Grief bonding, military service sympathy, frozen bank accounts, medical emergencies, all designed to extract maximum money before the victim catches on." He pulled up a spreadsheet with hundreds of names. "These are all current victims. The amounts they've sent range from a few $100s to over $80,000. My mom's face went pale. $80,000? How do people fall for this? Austin clicked to another slide showing psychological manipulation techniques. These scammers are professional con artists. They study their victims through social media, learn about their lives, their losses, their vulnerabilities. They craft relationships specifically designed to exploit emotional needs. Your mother is lonely after Dad died. She misses having someone care about her. This scammer recognized that and built an entire persona around filling that void. My dad was pacing now. So what do we do? Report it to the FBI? They probably have thousands of these cases and won't prioritize one victim who's only lost $3,000 so far. Austin smiled, and it was slightly terrifying. Or we could scam the scammer. Turn this whole operation on its head and waste so much of their time and resources that they abandon Grandma as a target. Plus, we could gather evidence to help all the other victims on that list. The plan Austin laid out was absolutely insane. We would create our own Catfish profile targeting the scammer himself, pretending to be a wealthy widow with terrible security and lots of money to steal. While he was focused on this new, bigger target, we'd be documenting everything, tracing his financial accounts, identifying his network, and building a case file that would actually make the FBI pay attention. We need someone to be the Catfish, Austin said. Someone who can convincingly play a wealthy older woman online, keep this guy engaged, and slowly build toward a situation where he exposes his entire operation trying to score one big payout. Everyone looked at my Aunt Carol, my mom's sister who was an actress in community theater. She'd been sitting quietly this whole time, but now her eyes lit up. I've always wanted to go undercover. What's my character's name? Austin pulled up a fake profile he'd already created. Meet Barbara Thornton Wells, 68 years old, recently widowed from a tech industry executive, sitting on a $10 million estate, absolutely clueless about technology, and desperately lonely. Aunt Carol studied the profile and nodded. I can work with this. Give me a few hours to get into character. She was taking this way too seriously, but that was perfect. If anyone could pull off a convincing Catfish reversal, it was Carol. She had that dramatic flair that would make the performance believable. Austin walked her through the technical setup. I've created an entire digital footprint for Barbara. Fake LinkedIn, fake property records that show up on public searches, fake obituary for her husband Herbert, fake news articles about his tech company. If this scammer does any research, everything will check out. I even created fake social media accounts for Barbara's imaginary children and grandchildren, all with years of post history. My mom shook her head in disbelief. When did you have time to do all this? Austin shrugged. I didn't sleep last night. This scammer picked the wrong grandmother to target. Within 3 hours, Aunt Carol as Barbara had sent a friend request to Colonel Richard Ashford. She'd crafted a vulnerable first message. Hello, I'm new to Facebook and your profile appeared in my suggested friends. Your smile reminded me of my late husband Herbert. I hope you don't mind me reaching out. These days have been so lonely since he passed. She was using perfect elderly person typing patterns, complete with random capitalizations and excessive punctuation. The scammer accepted the friend request within 10 minutes and responded immediately. Hello, Barbara. Thank you for your kind message. I'm so sorry for your loss. I understand loneliness more than you know. My wife passed 3 years ago and military life keeps me far from home. I'd love to chat if you need a friendly ear. Aunt Carol looked at us with a grin. He's using the exact same opening lines he used with your grandmother. These people really do work from scripts. Over the next week, Aunt Carol developed the Barbara character into a masterpiece of wealthy widow vulnerability. She posted about her mansion, her late husband's car collection, her confusion about managing the estate. She asked Richard for advice about everything, painting herself as the perfect target. The scammer was eating it up, responding faster and with more detail to Barbara than he was to Grandma. Austin tracked every message, every click, every interaction. He's spending 60% of his active hours focused on Barbara now. He thinks he's found his retirement score. Meanwhile, Grandma was still talking to the scammer, but his attention was divided. She'd mentioned to my mom that Richard seemed distracted lately, not responding as quickly. We hadn't told her about our operation because she wouldn't have approved. To her, Richard was still real, still the lonely colonel who'd sweep her off her feet. 2 weeks into the Barbara operation, the scammer made his first move requesting money. Barbara, I have to ask you something difficult. My mother is in the hospital in London. She needs emergency surgery, but my military accounts are frozen due to an investigation into fraud by another soldier. I hate to ask, but could you possibly help? I'll pay you back the moment my accounts are released. I'm talking about $15,000 for the surgery. Aunt Carol responded perfectly in character. Oh, Richard, of course I'll help. Family is everything. How do I send you the money? The scammer sent detailed wire transfer instructions to an account in Ghana. Austin was tracking everything in real time. He's using a money mule account. That means he has a network of people helping move the money. If we can trace this properly, we can map his entire organization. Aunt Carol typed back. Richard, I tried to send the money, but my bank is asking so many questions. They want to know who you are and why I'm sending such a large amount internationally. Can you help me fill out these verification forms? This is where the operation got beautiful. Austin had created official-looking bank verification forms that asked for everything. Full name, address, phone numbers, identification documents, bank account details. To a normal person, the forms would look legitimate. To a scammer who thought he was so close to $15,000, they looked like a minor bureaucratic hurdle. Over the next 3 days, the scammer filled out everything, providing details that exposed not just his identity, but his entire operation structure. He uploaded a scanned passport that was definitely fake, but showed the name and photo he was using for identification. He provided bank account numbers that Austin immediately traced through financial networks. He even uploaded a photo of himself holding a sign with Barbara's name, thinking this would prove he was real. The photo showed a young man in his 20s in what looked like a crowded internet cafe. Austin ran facial recognition and found matches on other scam investigation websites. This guy was a known player in the romance scam industry. His real name is probably Adekunle Okonkwo, Austin said, showing us multiple reports from scam victim advocacy groups. He's been doing this for at least 5 years. There are reports linking him to over 300 victims and estimated theft of $2 million. He's not just some amateur running a small operation. He's a professional with an organized criminal network. My mom looked at the evidence Austin had compiled. This is enough to go to the FBI, right? Austin nodded. This is more than enough. We have identity verification, financial account trails, communication records, and evidence of active scams against multiple victims. But I think we should take this one step further. Make it really memorable. My dad, who'd been supportive but cautious this whole time, raised an eyebrow. What are you suggesting? Austin's grin was absolutely manic. We convince him to fly to the United States to meet Barbara in person. Tell him she wants to give him cash instead of wire transfer because her bank is being difficult. Get him to actually come here and have the FBI waiting at the airport. The room went silent. Aunt Carol broke it first. That's either brilliant or completely insane. Austin pulled up flight costs. I tracked his financial accounts. He has enough money to afford a plane ticket. If he thinks there's a wealthy widow waiting with cash in hand, someone who's already proven vulnerable and willing to send money, he'll take the risk. These scammers get cocky. They think they're untouchable because they operate internationally. But if we can get him on U.S. soil, jurisdiction isn't an issue anymore. My mom was shaking her head. We'd have to actually coordinate with the FBI for this. We can't just have some foreign criminal show up without law enforcement being ready. My dad pulled out his phone. I know someone. My college roommate is a field agent in the white-collar crime division. Let me make a call. He stepped outside and we heard his muffled voice explaining the situation. When he came back, he was grinning. Agent Dennis Yeager wants to see everything we have. He's coming over tomorrow. Agent Yeager arrived the next afternoon with his partner, Agent Lisa Chen. Wait, I can't use Chen. Let me change that. Agent Yeager arrived with his partner, Agent Lisa Tran. They were both in their 40s, professional-looking, carrying laptops and official badges. Austin set up his presentation for the 3rd time, walking them through the entire operation. How we'd discovered Grandma was being scammed. How we'd created Barbara to redirect the scammer's attention. How we'd collected evidence of his identity and financial network. How we wanted to lure him to the United States for arrest. Agent Yeager kept saying, "Wait, go back, and show me that again," while Agent Tran was typing notes furiously. When Austin finished, both agents just stared at the screen. Agent Yeager finally spoke. This is the most comprehensive civilian investigation into a romance scam operation I've ever seen. You've done in 3 weeks what usually takes us 6 months to build. The only problem is how you obtained some of this information. The part where you hacked into his shared drive? That's technically illegal. Austin didn't look remotely apologetic. So charge me with hacking after you used the evidence to arrest an international scammer who's stolen millions from elderly victims. I'll take that deal. Agent Tran laughed. I like this kid. Dennis, we can make this work. The good evidence is solid. Identity verification, financial trails, communication records. The hacked files can be considered fruit of the poisonous tree for court purposes, but they give us investigative leads we can verify independently. And if this Adekunle actually comes to the U.S. voluntarily, that solves jurisdiction issues entirely. Agent Yeager leaned back in his chair. Okay, let's talk about the logistics of this plan. You want to convince a foreign criminal to fly here on the promise of meeting a fake widow. If he comes, we arrest him at the airport. If he doesn't, we've at least scared him enough that he abandons your grandmother as a target. Either way, we win. But we need to control the situation carefully. No cowboys, no surprises. If we're doing this, we're doing it by the book. The next month was a masterclass in FBI-coordinated catfishing. Aunt Carol, with Agent Tran's guidance, escalated the Barbara character's relationship with Adekunle posing as Richard. She told him her bank had completely frozen her accounts due to suspicious activity, and she couldn't wire money internationally anymore. But she had cash, lots of cash, and she wanted to give it to him in person. She said she didn't trust banks anymore after they questioned her about Richard. She wanted to meet face to face, hand him the money, maybe start a real relationship if the chemistry was there. Adekunle was hesitant at first. He suggested she use cryptocurrency instead. Aunt Carol, as Barbara said, she didn't understand cryptocurrency and it sounded like a scam. The irony was beautiful. Agent Yeager suggested we sweeten the deal. Tell him you want to invest in his future, that you'll give him $50,000 in cash when he arrives, and you want to discuss a business partnership. Make it about more than just helping with his fake mother's surgery. Make it about his long-term financial future. Aunt Carol sent the message and included photos of cash spread across a table. Austin had mocked up the photos using real money borrowed from everyone's savings and some clever camera work to make it look like way more than it actually was. Richard, I've withdrawn $50,000 from my estate account. This is for you, for us, for our future together. Please come meet me. I've never felt this way since Herbert passed. I'm ready to start a new chapter and I want it to be with you. She included a first-class plane ticket confirmation in her message. I've already purchased your ticket. Round trip, Lagos to Atlanta, departing in 2 weeks. Please don't make me wait any longer. The ticket was real, purchased with FBI funds as part of the operation. Agent Yeager said if Adekunle actually boarded that plane, it would be worth every penny. The scammer went silent for 3 days. We thought we'd lost him, that he'd figured out the trap. Then he responded. Barbara, you have no idea how much this means to me. I'll be there. I can't wait to meet you in person and start our life together. The 2 weeks waiting for his flight felt like years. We had to keep Grandma distracted so she wouldn't notice Richard was barely responding to her messages anymore. My mom invited her over for dinners constantly. I took her shopping. My dad helped her with yard work. We were all acting suspiciously attentive, and she definitely noticed. You're all hovering. What's going on? Did someone die? My mom finally told her a partial truth. Mom, we're working with the FBI to catch the person who scammed you. Please don't contact Richard anymore. We're trying to build a case and we don't want him to get spooked. Grandma's face went through several emotions: anger, embarrassment, denial, and finally resignation. He was never real, was he? My mom hugged her. I'm sorry, Mom, but we're going to make sure he faces consequences. He's hurt a lot of people and we have a chance to stop him. Grandma sat down and started crying. I feel like such a fool. I wanted so badly to believe someone could love me again. The day of Adekunle's flight, we were all at the FBI field office watching monitors. Agent Yeager had coordinated with airport security, customs, and local police. They had undercover agents positioned throughout the airport. Aunt Carol, still in character as Barbara, was in a secure room with Agent Tran and 2 other agents. The plan was for Adekunle to clear customs, think he was home free, and then be approached by Barbara at baggage claim. That's when they'd arrest him. Austin was tracking the flight in real time. He's on the plane. It left Lagos 3 hours ago. He's really coming. We watched the flight tracker like it was the most important thing in the world. Grandma was there too. She'd insisted on being present for this. I want to see the face of the man who made me feel special just to steal my money. I want him to know he picked the wrong grandmother. Agent Yeager had explained she couldn't confront him directly because it could compromise the operation, but she could watch from a secure location. She agreed to those terms. 14 hours later, the plane landed in Atlanta. We watched customs cameras as passengers filed through. And there he was, young, maybe 26, wearing an expensive-looking suit, carrying a leather bag, looking confident. He cleared customs without issue. His fake passport worked. His visa was legitimate since Barbara had sponsored it as part of the invitation process. He walked through the airport heading toward baggage claim, and I could see him checking his phone constantly. Aunt Carol was texting him in character. I'm at baggage claim by Carousel 6. I'm wearing a blue dress. I can't wait to see you. Adekunle responded with heart emojis. He was smiling, actually excited, probably thinking about the $50,000 he was about to collect. He reached baggage claim and started looking around. Aunt Carol was standing exactly where she said she'd be, wearing a blue dress and holding a sign that said Richard. He saw her and his face lit up. He started walking toward her. That's when 6 FBI agents moved in simultaneously from different directions. Adekunle's expression changed from excited to confused to terrified in about 3 seconds. Agent Yeager approached with badge raised. Adekunle Okonkwo, you're under arrest for wire fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Put your hands behind your back. Adekunle tried to run. He actually dropped his bag and bolted toward the exit. He made it maybe 20 feet before 3 agents tackled him to the ground. Airport security cleared civilians from the area while agents handcuffed him. He was screaming that this was a mistake, that he was just visiting his girlfriend. that he hadn't done anything wrong. Agent Yeager read him his rights while agents searched his bag. They found 2 laptops, 3 phones, a stack of different ID cards with different names, and a notebook filled with victim names and payment amounts. It was a scammer's evidence kit, everything needed to run multiple operations simultaneously. From our secure monitoring room, we watched them haul Adekunle away. Grandma was crying, but this time they were different tears. "He's so young. He destroyed lives for money, and he's barely older than my grandson." Agent Tran came back to debrief us. "We found evidence on his devices of active scams against 48 current victims. We're contacting all of them today. The notebook has records going back 3 years. He kept detailed logs of every person he scammed, how much they paid, what stories worked best. It's like a scammer's diary." She looked at Austin. "Your hack gave us the initial leads, but this physical evidence is ironclad. He's looking at 20 years minimum." Agent Yeager joined us, and he was trying not to smile. "That was the smoothest catfish reversal operation I've seen in 15 years with the Bureau. The way you set up Barbara's character, the fake financial footprint, the slow build to getting him on U.S. soil. It was textbook, except you're not supposed to know the textbook." Aunt Carol was still in her Barbara costume, looking pleased with herself. "Did I sell the character convincingly?" Agent Yeager laughed. "You should consider becoming a professional FBI consultant. We have operations where we could use someone with your acting skills." She handed him her headshot and resume. "Call me anytime. I've discovered I love undercover work." We all burst out laughing. The tension of the past month released all at once, and we couldn't stop. Agent Tran pulled up the security footage of Adekunle's arrest. "Can I show you the best part? Watch his face when he realizes Barbara is not who he thought she was." She played the moment when Aunt Carol dropped character after his arrest and said clearly, "That's for every grandmother you scammed." Adekunle's expression was priceless, pure confusion mixed with the dawning realization that he'd been completely played. Agent Yeager was laughing so hard he had to wipe his eyes. "I'm making this required viewing for new agent training. This is what creative law enforcement looks like." The arrest made national news. "International romance scammer caught in FBI sting operation orchestrated by victim's family" was the headline. Media outlets wanted interviews. We declined most of them, but did agree to one news segment to help educate other potential victims. Grandma was the spokesperson. She sat on camera and told her story without shame. "I was lonely and someone exploited that loneliness. But my family didn't judge me. They protected me. If you or someone you love is being contacted by someone who seems too perfect, too interested, too quick to profess love, please be suspicious. These scammers are professional manipulators, and they're very good at what they do. But they can be stopped." The segment went viral. Grandma became an unexpected advocate for scam awareness. She started volunteering with elder fraud prevention organizations, telling her story at community centers, helping other victims recognize the warning signs. She turned her embarrassment into purpose. Adekunle pleaded guilty to 14 counts of wire fraud and conspiracy. The evidence was overwhelming, and his attorneys advised him fighting would only result in a longer sentence. He received 18 years in federal prison and was ordered to pay restitution to victims. The FBI traced his financial accounts and recovered over $400,000 that was frozen before he could move it. That money was distributed among victims, including Grandma, who got her $3,000 back. But the real victory was the 48 active scam operations that were shut down when he was arrested. Those potential victims were contacted and warned before they lost more money. Agent Yeager told us we'd probably saved people from losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in total. What you did, creating that counter-operation, gathering that evidence, it had ripple effects beyond just your grandmother. You helped a lot of people without even knowing it. The FBI asked Austin to consult on other scam investigations. He was only 18, but he had skills their analysts respected. He ended up taking a gap year before college to work part-time with the Cybercrimes Division, helping track romance scammers, business email compromise operations, and other fraud schemes. "Turns out I'm really good at thinking like a criminal," he told us proudly, "which makes me valuable for catching them." Aunt Carol got hired by a private investigation firm to do undercover work in fraud cases. She was living her best life pretending to be different characters to catch criminals. "I finally found my calling," she said. "Theater prepared me for this better than any law enforcement training could." My dad's friend, Agent Yeager, sent us a formal commendation letter from the FBI director, thanking us for our assistance in a successful operation. We framed it and hung it in Grandma's house. A year later, we held a family dinner to celebrate the anniversary of Adekunle's arrest. Grandma had fully recovered from the emotional manipulation and was actually dating someone she'd met at her church's senior social group. "He's real," she assured us. "I've met his children, his grandchildren, and he has photos going back decades. I've learned to verify." We laughed, but we were genuinely happy for her. She'd taken the worst experience and turned it into wisdom. Austin was thriving in his FBI consulting work and had been offered a full scholarship to study cybersecurity. Aunt Carol had become a minor celebrity in the private investigation world and was getting hired for cases across the country. The whole experience had brought our family closer together. We'd fought a battle against a predator who targeted the vulnerable, and we'd won decisively. During dinner, Grandma raised her glass. To my family, who taught a scammer that you don't mess with a grandmother who has tech-savvy grandchildren and a dramatic sister-in-law. Thank you for protecting me even when I didn't want to be protected. If you enjoyed this, you'll definitely want to see the next ones too. So subscribe now and let me know your take in the comments.